Alright, I do believe we're all set to go, so I will give myself the audio check, and then we will get started. That looks so beautiful on my smartphone. Alright, I do believe we're all set to go, so I will... And there's the audio. Perfect. Alright, so... For those of you who are joining us this evening, this is definitely not Tales of Xillia. It's not Genshin Impact, and it's definitely not Final Fantasy XIV. Because tonight, I'm doing something that's a little more casual than what I normally do when I'm streaming. Tonight I'm playing a game that has been part of a series of video games that I've played for many years as my adult life has gone on, and I can now proudly welcome all of you to this particular location. The one that you're seeing on your screen currently, because this is a place, if you're a Canadian, that is very near and dear to your hearts. This is Montreal, and this is the island that is host to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, host circuit of the Formula 1 Canadian Grand Prix. And, for the first time ever, this particular video game franchise welcomes it with open arms. And as Canadians, we are happy and proud to do the same tonight. So with that in mind, greetings people of the world. Matthias Griffin back with you as we play for the first time on my channel, Gran Turismo 7. This is the first time that I've played a Gran Turismo game on my channel in more than a decade. I did a preview channel or video for Gran Turismo 6 when it launched on Black Friday. It was in 2014, I believe. And since then, I really haven't shown off the game at all. But tonight, as you can see, I have incentive to do so. So what do you say before we do anything else? Because with this new update, they also updated their intro movie, which they've done a few times as they've continued to issue more updates into this game. So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and launch the game? And for those of you not familiar with how Gran Turismo cinematic intros work, this one was certainly the one that they put the most work into, without question, because for Gran Turismo 7, when it originally launched 3 years ago, it launched with the 25th anniversary of the original game's launch. And to commemorate that, they decided to make a full-blown history montage of the evolution of the automobile from its origins to now, and they also incorporated various famous historical moments and various historical personalities that have made such wonderful things over the years, especially when it comes to society, culture, and given that cars have evolved over the years, engineering, like the first flight by the Wright brothers in their airplane, Albert Einstein's E=mc², the theory of relativity, and various classic automobile ads. Mentioned in culture as well, the launch of Swan Lake by Tchaikovsky, the first ever Indianapolis 500, the development of the first ever Zeppelin. But of course it's not all wonderful when it comes to engineering, because of course the Titanic sank during this time as well. But we also had wonderful celebrities like Charlie Chaplin to entertain us, Alexander Graham Bell inventing the telephone. We had races like the Pikes Peak hill climb that became world famous. Of course, we explored the North Pole and the South Pole as well. The first transatlantic flight by plane by Charles Lindbergh in the Spirit of St. Louis. Yeah, you can see how different ways people try to build cars. And well as various stock film of people enjoying driving them. Enjoying them, and all the various places that people could go using them, including those bumpy cobblestone European roads before tarmac was a thing. And of course we had cultural legends like Elvis Presley, and the cars got famous as well because of how they were designed. And yeah, that's how races used to start back in the day. There was the Beatles, but we only get to see 2 in this montage. Then we launched rocket ships, men went to the moon, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin did their thing. And of course, women becoming more involved in the workforce, kids becoming more passionate about vehicles, and yeah, there was the Mr. Bean 3-wheel blue vehicle that was synonymous, one of the things synonymous with that show. And of course, when computers came around, we started developing what we thought was going to be the future of the car when we suddenly realized, oh wait a minute, the ground clearance is too high, that would be a problem. And of course, tires evolved as well as every single way of building a car, of course. Now these days, the frames are welded by robots, but people still contribute as well to the construction of cars. And yeah, that thing is going into an acid bath to help to prevent corrosion. If you've ever played Gran Turismo 5, the opening montage for that game actually features the entire development of a car being built from start to finish, right from getting the raw materials to the completion of the vehicle itself. So this is version 3 of the montage once they get past the historical montage. Of course, now featuring not only Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, but also other circuits that have been incorporated, including the circuit that joins Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in this particular update, which is the Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi, which is going to be literally in a few days as of the time of this stream, hosting the finale of the Formula 1 season. Which we all know Max Verstappen is going to win that. He already had his hands on the title a long time ago, even though the stats and the points say otherwise. But of course, don't forget, proving it wrong on Sunday. You guys can post in the comments and let me know that that was indeed what happened. So yeah, you get to drive during the day, during the night. And there's Gilles Villeneuve, from daytime to nighttime with a beautiful Montreal skyline to go with it. And Yas Marina's famous feature, the hotel that's built over top of the circuit itself towards the end of the lap. And of course, another staple of Gran Turismo intros is showing off all the various different cars that they've put into the game, not just racing cars, but also cars that you and I can drive in real life. We can pick up at a dealership and be able to drive those if we have the money to buy them. And yeah, it's possible to have a race car race against a production vehicle. Of course, got American muscle cars as well. And yeah, that was a desert circuit that they have. That was one of the initial circuits that they put into the game. Of course, in Gran Turismo 7, one of the other things that they also feature is, yeah, you can actually wreck your car if you don't drive it right. Of course, you're not limited to driving on tarmac. You can drive on dirt like on a rally car. And there's also Snow 2, represented by the initial Canadian circuit in this game, which was a snow rally track in the Canadian Rockies at Lake Louise. And it finishes with this series of various vehicles of different styles and productions all driving through the deserts. I don't know if that's supposed to be like imitating the Dakar Rally, which is a famous race through a desert. But if it is, they certainly did a good job. Like they do with every other of the videos that they do when they launch the various games that they've done over the years. So yeah, you can see 100 million units throughout the history of the series have been sold worldwide, and it's been an honor to be able to play multiple games in this series First one I ever bought was Gran Turismo 3, but I've also played demos for 1 and 2 a long time ago when you could still play demos back then. So, welcome to the main menu screen. This is how it's set up. So, this is how it looks like. So, the main headquarters is the Gran Turismo Cafe, which is new to Gran Turismo 7. So, what this does is that it allows you to take a look at the various menus, and these menus are races that you get to participate in at various tracks all over the world. Beat those tracks, beat those races, and you get to add more cars into your collection. And then extra menus, which was added a while ago, not directly with the game itself when it initially launched, but you can also challenge yourself to try and get as much money as you can to buy other cars. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of vehicles to obtain, but some are only available within a certain time window. You can't always be able to get everything. And some of the stuff that is on the out of stock is stuff that is very, very expensive to get your hands on. Like, for example, the last car for this one, it costs the maximum price that a car can cost in this game, which is 20 million. And yeah, you heard that right. But as you can see, I'm nowhere near that number. And depending on what car you get, you'll get a random person who's associated with the manufacturer of a vehicle or associated with a car brand will be able to show their face, and you'll get to see a simulated conversation between yourself and the proprietor of the cafe. So, among other things, you also, of course, need to buy cars, and there are 3 different places you can do that. You'll have to start out, if it's your first time playing, by purchasing a used car, because they'll only give you enough money to be able to buy one of those. Then once you've gotten to such a point that you have enough money, you can start buying cars from the Brand Central location, of which there are many manufacturers. You have 14 of them on the US side, but 5 that are only still in operation. The others are either discontinued or they are custom car makers. Because one of the other things that Gran Turismo has done over the years is recognize custom car builds and incorporate them into the game too. And then with Europe, you have some of the famous luxury car brands and civilian car brands as well. If you can think of it, chances are you find it in this game. And in some instances, there are brands that are not even associated with vehicles at all that have collaborated with Gran Turismo over the years in order to make their very own special vehicles. And you can see lots of different cars from lots of different countries all over the world. In Asia Pacific as well, lots of Japanese manufacturers. Yeah, there's even AI involved too. And there's also partnerships with various companies that make vehicle parts that are also part of the game. And then, last but not least, there are the legend cars. These are old antique vehicles or cars that were built a long time ago that are really famous. They can range from regular production vehicle cars to race cars. And as you can see, yeah, I was not kidding about the price of one of these. 20 million credits. The most money you can win in a single race, though, is 1 million credits, though. So you have to pour in a lot of time and effort to be able to even sniff getting to buy a car like this. Yeah, just taking a look at this, and here's another 20 million credit car, a Ferrari from 1962. Yeah, these things are very, very expensive. And with good reason, they are antique vehicles. There's also, of course, an online mode. There's licenses in order to encourage you to build up yourself and your skills, and only by doing so can you get to participate in harder races, longer races. Special mission races where you either have to do something in a certain way or participate in a race that requires you to meet very specific conditions. We also have over here World Circuits, which will of course be featuring Gilles Villeneuve in a moment. And new to the patch is the Power Pack. This is a paid DLC that's costs a pretty penny. If you're willing to sink the money into it, it's a special type of expert challenges that you can participate in if you're willing to put the money into doing so. And of course, there are various things like you can get parts for your car to build them up and make them better. And also there's GT Auto, which gives you the opportunity to not only customize your car, but also because you, of course, are the driver, you get the opportunity to even customize your own driving gear. So, being the Canadian that I am, of course, I made my outfit very Canadian-centric with a maple leaf on the helmet and on the suit and various Canadian brands all over. Yeah, I believe it's the Canada 2 that I have right now. Hey Luna, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you with us. Yeah, just to give you an idea of what our helmet looks like. Got a big, beautiful Canadian red maple leaf blazing across my chest. And various, like I said, various Canadian brands on either side of me. All of which I wear very proudly in honor of my country. Because I love it so much. Hey Luna, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you with us. Yeah, no need to change it when it's already set in stone. And this place also allows you to maintain maintenance on your car, like oil changes and washing your car, stuff like that. So you can also take pictures of your car. You can set them in a whole bunch of various spots. And of course, the new circuits are featured prominently at the top. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, remembering a Quebec hero. Indeed. So, last year I had the opportunity to go check out Gran Turismo's esports event in Montreal. And it was an honor to be there. I was just so happy to see for myself, and it's just... I'm so really grateful that this opportunity is finally provided to us Canadians, and of course I'm gonna add this as a favorite, why wouldn't I? Yeah, that's great, Luna, but the only character I want right now is Venti. That's who I want, and I will not be satisfied with anything less. So, when the circuit is not in function, when it's not in use during the Formula 1 Grand Prix, all this stuff is not taken down. It is in a public area. The circuit is located in a public park. But unlike Albert Park in Australia, which hosts the Australian Grand Prix for Formula 1, here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, the stuff is never torn down. It always stays up. So, across the various spots, yeah, they even put down the, I guess, the shipping containers, special shipping containers out on the front straightaway. There's the finish line itself. And the various corners that you guys are gonna get to see as we prepare to set off on this beautiful day. So, yeah, when the circuit originally was introduced in 1978, the circuit was actually down at the opposite end of the track, as opposed to where it is now. Yeah, Toyota and its forklifts being very prominently featured here. Yeah, we'll have the opportunity to do what we need to do later on if we want to take some pictures. So, what do you say we get to it? I've already had the opportunity today to try out some of the other DLC that's been added as far as adding new races to Gran Turismo, because they do regularly update the various events that can be participated in. And it does say on the corner weekly challenge, so every week they will have a new set of 5 events for you to participate in order to get the chance for getting some bonus money, as well as some bonus prizes as well. So of course the 2 new circuits, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve And the new one for Europe and Middle East now, because it's the first Middle East feature, is of course Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. And we will go to pay this circuit a visit later on. But for now, our focus is going to be in Home Sweet Home. Of course, we had Lake Louise join us in Spec 2 as the first and so far only snow-based track. And then there's Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So, what do you say we go ahead and participate? So, we're gonna do... I imagine I will do well in this race, but this one I imagine I will struggle because Super Formula is a very highly skilled race. So, it's not easy to be able to consistently get things done, and being the casual that I am, I imagine it will not be so easy to be able to do this. So, before we move on, let's go to my main screen. And we'll begin by taking part in the circuit experience. So circuit experience allows you to take on a circuit in sections. You'll get rewarded for completing every section of the circuit in a certain time. Of course, the better you do, you'll get the chance to improve from bronze to silver to gold. And finally, there's a chance to do a full lap of the circuit to be able to complete your opportunity to get more rewards. Now, being the casual that I am, do not expect me to get gold on this track, but I will do my best to push myself as far as I can. So, let's go ahead and pay Circuit Gilles Villeneuve a visit. So in this instance, we have 4 sectors to race through, and then finally the full lap challenge. And the car we're going to be driving is a Mercedes AMG GT3 2020. So, what do you say we get started? Don't be surprised if I fail multiple times. Like I said, I am a casual here. So this will take some trial and error to get through successfully. And as you can see, this is a very powerful car for a very powerful track. And as you can see as well, there's also indicators that tell you when you should be braking, but sometimes the braking indicator is misleading because it'll put you in a situation where you're, it makes you think that you've hit the brakes at the right time, but it turns out that you've hit the brakes too late. So that can be problematic. And at that point it just becomes, how do we figure out the timing of the turn like that? Yeah, even though I went very deep into turn 1, like I'm still just barely able to cross over to get silver. Let's see if I can keep improving. I was able to shave off another 3/10. Yeah, obviously if you go off track, you automatically fail. Yeah, one thing that's also notorious with Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is that turn 2 is rather tricky. If you hit the gas too soon, you're gonna start fishtailing and the back's gonna go out on you. Well, that may be enough. Let's find out. It's enough to get gold. Alright. We did it. Yeah, beat it by a full 1/10 of a second. Yeah, there we go. Gold in Sector 1. Oops. Yeah, we don't need to do this again. We want to move on to the next section. Alright, on to Sector 2, which will feature 3... we know them as S-curves, but in Formula 1 and in auto racing as a whole, these are referred to as chicanes. So let's see if we can navigate through this successfully. Yeah, try not to overdo it. And given that this place is essentially a street track, it's going to be a situation where it's very easy to hit the wall. Or push too soon and get yourself too far deep into the turn. Alright, so we got... trying to fix that, try and do that better. Got through, that's turned better. Yep. Yeah, I got on the grass there, which is very easy to do. Nice. As long as we can keep improving. Yes. Those skids are going to be a problem, but that's usually how it works with these vehicles, is that they can be very sensitive to you hitting the gas with any sense of enthusiasm. Looks like I'm just gonna barely beat out my ghost. Yeah, I want to see if I can at least get a silver medal. If I can at least get a silver medal, I'll be happy. You gotta be so careful when it comes to cutting corners, too. Got another 2/10 off. As long as I can stay ahead of my ghost. Ugh. I got through that, it's okay. No fishtailing at all. I got silver out of that. Alright. So we'll go ahead and move on. Alright, on to Sector 3, which will feature another chicane and then the hairpin turn, the big U-turn at the far end of the track. First, we get a big high-speed run into this turn. I'm gonna run too far. Yeah, if you run too far, that's a disqualification. Finding those proper braking points is so critical to success. Do I have enough? Barely. And a unique feature about this circuit is the fact that this hairpin features a very wide exit. Well, holy cow, I almost got gold on this. Wow. Yeah, I think we will make an attempt here to try and get the gold for this sector. Yeah, in my instance, it was simply a matter of going too far into the turn before hitting the brake. Like right there. And yet somehow that was actually better. Wow. Somehow me going into the turn too far was actually faster. Who would have guessed? Ugh. Alright, let's try this again. Yeah, I think I got a little too overzealous on the brake. But nope, gonna lose out here. Alright. Here we go. It's gonna be a little too deep. Yeah. Yeah, finding that pinpoint accuracy there with the brake is gonna be so crucial. And also, when you start your turn is also gonna be huge. Alright, got through that pretty good. This should be enough for gold. Ah, just missed by 2/100ths of a second. I mean, I've got the right idea. It's just a matter of actually putting it all together. Let's see if I can. I've got through it a little quicker. Alright, I've got it. I've got it. And there it is. Gold for Sector 3. I mean, gold in 2 out of 3 sections is pretty good so far for someone like myself. And now culminating with the long stretch to the final chicane. And back onto the start-finish line. Here we go. Already starting off from 250 kilometers an hour. And gotta be so careful when going through this last chicane to not hit what's notoriously known on this track as the Wall of Champions. So yeah, we do not want to face plant into that. We also want to find the best point for braking as well. Too far? Yeah, very much too far. Hey Bubba, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you with us. No, that's too soon. Yeah, it may only be 2 turns, but they're a notorious 2 turns. I'm pushing, braking a little too soon here. Alright, we got through there. Oh, we got gold! Wow. Suddenly, just like that, bang, gold. Yeah, I don't know what the Tacoma song is there, Bubba. I really have no clue. Alright. Now we try for the full lap challenge. Try and complete the lap in a minimum of 1:45.3. Alright, here we go. This will certainly take a few tries. through the first two turns. Gotta be a little cautious on that turn because it is essentially blind. Oh boy, now that's... Oh, I just barely saved it. Yeah, hit the brakes a little too late. Here we go. Now towards the hairpin at the far end of the track. And now for the long stretch before the final chicane. Go up to our fastest point on the track. Yeah, I hit the brakes too soon. Well, we are definitely gonna finish, but we'll see if we can improve on this. So, 140.7. See if we can at least get silver. Shave off at least a second. Here we go. Careful. I'm finding myself pushing a little too hard here and going too late on the brakes. I am out of my ghost now. Yeah, obviously the nerves of trying to hit the right point at the right time. And doing it for an entire lap now. While making sure that the back end doesn't bail on me. Alright, here we go. Final section. I can visually see that I'm ahead of my ghost. Through the final chicane. This will only be a slight improvement. By about a quarter of a second. Yeah, cautious to a fault right now. Plenty of opportunity to catch the ghost. Alright, through there. Over to this chicane. Yeah, probably went in there a little too aggressively, maybe. At least I can glide through the hairpin rather well. Alright, last chicane. Nope, too soon. Although it does look like the gap will be bigger than before. It'll be enough to get silver, though. Alright. At the very least, we accomplished our goal. Alright, there it is. So 3 golds and 2 silver for Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Take the 36,000 credits. And we get 200,000 credits for completing all parts of the challenge. Alright, let's try some racing now. So we'll begin with the first one, the GTR Cup, and I'm conveniently in a GTR car, so this is a Nissan challenge. So we'll see how I do here. For 5 laps around the circuits. Yeah, isn't that amazing, that beautiful view of the skyline of Montreal? Like, you really have to be Canadian to really appreciate this. And the little stadium right at the end with the hairpin at the far end of the track, it's just... there really is nothing like it. It's such a wonderful place to be. Alright, let's do this. 5 laps to catch up from the back of the pack in 16th. One thing you'll also notice as well, if you've never played Gran Turismo 7, is that the drivers, some of them, are actually the real-life esports drivers of Gran Turismo. So some cars will feature just the name of the vehicle, but others will actually have the name of the esports driver. Now we have an opportunity to make up some ground here, because we basically need to. We have to make up 30 seconds. Yeah, I went through that too far, and now he's just pushing me around. Ugh. Yeah, I went in there too deep. Yeah, they do have the indicators that let you know when you should be braking. Of course, this is my first time driving with this vehicle on the track, so still getting accustomed to it. So now down the long, fast stretch here. I kind of had to bail on that one. That comes with the territory as we get used to driving around this track within various different cars. But already we've got the delta down to under 20 seconds to the leader. Oh. I was about to say, did I leave it too late? Thankfully not. Bump the wall. Yeah, this is why I'm a casual. I cannot drive as well as many other people, and trying to get around everything while also trying to not hit anything else can be a challenge. Alright, through here. That bridge we went under, by the way, if you're visiting the park that the circuit is located on, that's actually the entry point to the island. Getting a little too tight on the hairpin there, maybe turning a little too soon. Alright, let's go. Yeah, that's always a part of the challenge of Gran Turismo as you drive the various cars, trying to find the optimal braking points, the optimal braking times. Alright, around the corner. Let's go chase the last two cars down. It'll be tricky to get through this chicane here. And not to try and bump into anything. But we do have enough sheer speed with our vehicle that we can get around them. Slowly but surely we'll get the hang of this. I'm gonna shoot right through, aren't I? Yeah, trying to avoid running into the car that just retook the lead. Well, not hitting him, or am I getting myself thrown off the track? Here we go, last chicane. Alright, that's better. Going a little TDB on this one. Here we go. And let's see if we can start to possibly push ourselves harder to try and do the fastest lap that we can. A little too soon on that. I wasn't even touching on the gas though. Pretty much nailed that one. Yeah, these tires are getting squealy here. Cars trying to stay in control as much as possible. But yeah, I'm easily distancing myself from my opponents, but of course, getting accustomed to the track, getting accustomed to driving the car on said track, it does take time. Alright, heading off to start the final lap. This little tricky section here. Whoa, a little too much. Yeah, one thing you also notice if where you're paying attention to the around the track is that there are also a variety of buildings as well that were part of when Montreal was the host city for the 1967 World's Fair. A lot of those buildings that were used are still standing and still in use today. Something though they probably also might not be able to see it based on the way that we drive by, but it is on here. The island also has the city's very own casino. Yeah, the trees pretty much blur it out, but you can barely make it out on the right as we pass by it right there. And let's see if we did enough to finish out with a strong final lap. Yeah, we kept improving every time. Yeah, it's always go faster every lap, so definitely can be satisfied with that. I did bump into a car though, so this will not be considered what's known as a clean race. Because if you do get a clean race, when you complete it, you will get a 50% bonus to whatever money you earned. Oh, they're actually going to credit me with a clean race bonus. Wow. I did not expect that, because I thought I bumped someone. Yeah, there we go. That's a clean race, I guess. Alright, so we got that one down, and now for the super hard, super formula challenge. 15 laps around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And one of these bad boys. A Japanese super formula car. And we gotta do 15 laps, and wow, tire wear is insane here. Yeah, we're gonna need to step back and go to mediums, I do believe. If we have to go to softs, then we will, but wow, that is the most tire wear acceleration that I've ever seen for this game. 18 times accelerated wearing of the tire. This is gonna be a challenge for sure. Alright, wish me luck. And something else that you can also do is space out your fuel for making it last as long as possible. Yeah, one thing about these Super Formula cars is that they're very antsy when you're driving them. It's very easy to get yourself in a situation where it's just not very good for you, because yeah, I'm not used to driving these things, so I'm a little tentative right now. Yeah, probably braking way too early. Yeah, it hits, brush the wall. Yeah, these are clearly the actions of a nervous driver. Yeah, because I'm so used to braking now at certain points that I'm not aware that I could push myself further. Let's see if we can make ourselves go a little faster here. Yeah, I'm so used now to the braking points from the other vehicles that it never even occurs to me that I can be able to be more aggressive. Yeah, these Super Formula cars are pretty tough to handle. Yeah, even while I'm trying to figure it out, I'm still losing time to the field. One thing these things do have, though, is the overtake option, but you can only use it for a certain amount of time. Now I do need to be a little more careful with my fuel. The game's pretty much forcing me to have to use it at maximum. Yeah, I am really not making up any time on my opponents. Yeah, they're like getting themselves 2 seconds a lap on me. Yeah, I'm having a hard time even catching up to the guy in front of me. The immediate guy in front of me. Yeah, just because I'm still getting used to the track and driving this particular vehicle with it. Alright, here we go. It just goes to show you just how tough a challenge like this is. Like I did, Super Formula is one of the toughest challenges in the game. I was not kidding about that. I mean, I am improving my personal best lap, but we need to do a lot better than that if we're going to have a chance to even sniff the podium at this rate. If nothing else, I'm at least catching up to the one guy who's closest to me. And let's see if I can put a little juice into this. We're pushing each other right now. finally got at him. If only briefly. Ugh. That's not what we wanted. Yeah, sadly, I don't think we're gonna get much closer. He's just pulling away from me right now. Well, I do keep improving my best lap, but I'm still like a second behind the fastest lap of the race. I got in a little deep there. Ah, crap, what am I doing? I was too focused on him rather than on myself. And then I bumped him. If I can at least get around one guy. Does seem like we're catching up to others, though. We may not be catching the leader, but it seems like we're catching other drivers. Oh, battling in the chicane! Battling in the chicane! Well, we got around him. But can we keep it that way? Because, yeah, my tires are wearing thin right now. Come on, you can do it. Gotta keep trying. Alright, go. Alright, get past someone else. Maybe. Whoa! Yeah, my average lap is still a second behind the leader's best lap. We are gaining ground now. At least as far as other drivers are concerned. Yeah, not everyone's going to be able to make it through on a set of tires. Have to be at least one pit stop. So yeah, even though I've overtaken another car, I know that this is only temporary. Because I stopped to the pit. I've been on the mediums now for 10 laps. And I think I can go one more, and then we'll switch to soft. Because also as well, as far as tire strategy is concerned, switching over to a faster tire, and as opposed to not knowing how much these tires deplete. So yeah, I'll give myself one more lap and then we'll go to the pits to switch to a softer tire. Ow! No, come on. Come on, little car, you can do it. It does seem like 10 laps may be too much, because yeah, now here comes... Oh boy. Wow, my tires are really shit right now. So yeah, obviously I will be attempting this again someday, not on camera of course, but yeah, my tires are... they've had it. So yeah, 10 laps is enough with what I have. We're not fighting right now. But yeah, I totally have to use the pits this next lap. I have no choice here. But trial and error, part of the game. Ah. And it seems like though someone's having it much worse than I am right now. Alright. Yeah, how does the pit go in this instance? Alright, softs, now. Yeah, everyone else was getting in on hards, but yeah, that rear right is dead. Alright, let's get back on track. 4 more laps to go. And let's see how we do on soft tires and see how much of a difference they would have made. Because yeah, softer tires will grip better, but they'll also wear out faster. Also, those guys were doing 128.2 on hard tires. with the least grip. And it's a long way to go in order to try and get a spot back. But like I said, we can attribute this to trial and error. Someone now is doing 127. Oh, hey! There you are! Oh, he was able to push for even further than I did. Yeah, get back here. Yeah, now it's a race again between the two of us. Yeah, look at us fighting like this. Yeah, I'm not getting away with that. Right over the chicane. Alright, here we go. Alright, 2 laps to go. Yeah, now they're driving 126s. Meanwhile, I'm still doing 128s. Even though I did set a new personal fastest lap. At least catch up to one more guy. Okay, ready for braking. Like, wow, he left it for he hit the brakes so soon that threw me off. Yeah, trying to use up the last of my DRS, as it were. And look at this for side by side. Oh, briefly. Alright, here we go. Let's try and finish strong. Yeah, from what I can see, I could probably do like 9 laps on medium and 6 laps on soft. as I try and figure out the trial and error. Yeah, I'm out of DRS. At least I finished the race. All part of the trial and error process, but yeah, I have a long way to go and a lot to learn. But as I mentioned before, Super Formula is like one of the hardest things in the game. And of course, getting used to trying to drive the car as well is also going to be a learning experience. So, lots of work to do, but we'll see how it unfolds. So, we got to experience the beauty and glory that is Gilles Villeneuve, but of course there is another car out there, or rather another track, to take a look at that was introduced with this update. We're heading off to Abu Dhabi, to Yas Marina, the conclusion of the Formula 1 season for the last 16 years and counting. So we'll try the challenge experience first, and we'll try a couple races. I won't do all of them because, of course, I try to limit myself to 2 hours if I can. So yeah, Yas Marina. Of course, that has certainly gained notoriety over the years. Sometimes for the wrong reasons, like in 2021. That was a race that will live in infamy, no doubt. So, gotta drive this Ferrari 296 GT3 around this circuit. So, one of the things, this is not the original configuration of the circuit. It's similar to what Circuit Gilles Villeneuve is, because Gilles Villeneuve used to have a more chicanes than what it does now when it was originally built. And this place also had more chicanes as well, but they've straightened some of the sections out. So we'll go ahead and start trying the circuit experience here on Yas Marina. And we'll see how we do. Yeah, it's trying to hit those braking points. Make sure we can try and trace the curb as much as we can. So yeah, one of those chicanes used to be over here, but they got rid of it recently. So I'm going very deep into the turn. So we will definitely need to work on that. And yet, still almost got gold. Wow. If I don't mess up that turn, I probably could have gotten gold easily. Alright, let's go. I'm a little too close to the inside. Yeah, I can't cut the corner too much to the inside as well. Alright, did that better. This will be a marginal improvement. About 3/10. See if we can do even better. Yeah, I had to give up on the gas there. And this one's gonna be close. But, got the goal. Here we go. Alright, next section. Yeah, down the 2 long straights that are broken up by this very tight chicane. Yeah, this is a very awkward chicane, the way it's designed. So yeah, look how tight this is. And that's just for the first turn. Then coming out of the second turn. Yeah, finding the braking points, getting the right time to turn in. So yeah, if I can improve on the braking points and then turn in, I'll be able to get it even better. So, got silver. See if I can improve a little more. This is gonna be too deep. Yeah, too deep on that one. Yeah, it really is a very... it is very small, the margin of error on this chicane. Ugh, yeah, losing control. I'm gonna lose out to my ghost here. Too deep. Yeah, that's the thing that I mentioned before, is trusting the braking recommendation. Like, it's not always the most reliable reference point. Nonetheless, I did get under sub 19. Try and get a little more. I think they are allowing me to be a little more aggressive with cutting the corner, because I was able to get gold here by half a second. I guess they're being a little more lenient than I was expecting. Alright, and now the final tight section. And this real crazy zigzag area. Going too deep, maybe? No, not quite. Oh, it's gonna be too deep here. So you may have noticed the kind of leniency that they give you for getting bronze but the difference between silver and gold is much more tight. Basically want to, because even though they're 2 completely different turns, you essentially want to treat them like they're one continuous. And yeah, those spots meant to mislead you. Alright, off the final turn. I mean, that's pretty solid for first proper round through. I mean, even I'm surprised by that. That was pretty good. See if I can get it under 51. Alright, there we go. We might get sub 51 here. Oh, I think I overdid it on the turn, yeah. Oh, just held it. Alright, I'll take a sub 51. Yeah, I almost went too far off. Alright, let's try our luck at... oh, single lap attack. At least 209. Yeah, they want you to start driving before you even get to the start-finish line here. So have to go through the last two turns. Alright, here we go. Let's see what we can do. You pretty much have to let go of the gas in order to get through that. Alright, now down the two long straightaways with a crazy chicane. Too deep, too deep. Right, go. Oh, nope, too soon. Yeah, from too soon to nearly too late. Pushing a little too hard right now. All right, go. A second and a half, even with all those mistakes, like, that's pretty good. Like, I almost feel like I could get gold. I doubt I will, but hey, it's a possibility. And it struts again. Did find momentum there. Alright, here we go. We're really close right now. Yeah, in fact, my Ghost has more momentum than I do. That's too much. Yeah, it is possible to somehow go from turning too far outside to turning in too tight. I'm really tempted fate right now with these curves. Alright, here we go. Get myself a little righty here. I'm kind of sinking in my chair. Alright, kind of better. Down back to straight number 2. Alright, now through the twisty section. Alright, go. I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with that. I probably could get it if I had more time, if I gave myself more time. But we do want to try some races as well. Yeah, 2 golds, 2 silvers. Can't argue with that. There's another 200,000 credits for completing the Yas Marina circuit experience. Alright, let's try a couple of races. Let's try a look at the Ferrari challenge. I gotta have one under 700 points. We'll take the Berlinetta. Yeah, it's going to be working on sport tires, but we'll see how this goes. And now we go to daytime, which you don't see often in a place like this. Oh, brakes already. Wow. As we cross paths with more of the Gran Turismo esports drivers. Yeah, like there's esports drivers from places that you would expect, but also ones that you wouldn't have expected. Like some of the best are South American, and you would think Brazil, Argentina, but they also have really good drivers from Peru and Chile are also among the best Gran Turismo esports drivers out there. We gotta make up 30 seconds for 5 laps. Well, right now we're owning this guy. Whoa! That's really coming in very, very early on. Wow. Wow, was not expecting that breaking point to be so early. Wow. Also doesn't help when the time of day is daytime and not nights, like they normally do at Yas Marina. Because yeah, Abu Dhabi being in a desert and all, daytime driving isn't really all that much of a good idea. Yeah, even for the locals. Go. gotta hit the brakes very early on. Yeah, we've already cut out, even though we made that mess up in that one chicane, we basically cut the delta in half. And we're just on lap 2. Alright, here we go. Yeah, look how early we have to brake. Yeah, I'm trying to pass 2 cars at once in this tight little chicane. Not easy. That's nuts how early the braking indicator is. Thankfully we do have enough space to work with. Go. Last couple of turns. Yeah, yeah, look how quickly the times are dropping as everyone passes through. And I'm beating out the fastest guy on the track who isn't me by 5 seconds. Yeah, bumping this guy because I'm a little too fast. Slowly but surely, we're catching them. And we got them in our sights. And there's the super early braking indication. Alright, here we go. Alright, 3 cars left. And they're all bunched together. They're all scrambling for the top spot. And look how much my tires are skidding and begging for mercy right now. Trying to get close to the wall but not hit it. Right, let's track him down. Can I thread the needle on him? Kind of. Yeah, they were like, nope, we're not gonna fight you through this turn. They backed out. But now we're in the lead. We have the opportunity to, of course, try and see just how well we can go. And we don't have to have anyone in front of us to get around. Prolonged braking point. crazy chicane, and away we go. And for those of you who are wondering, if you're hearing a clicking in the, a faint clicking, that's because I'm using a controller. I do not have a wheel available to me. Mainly because those things are expensive. And for a game that I play casually, like, it's not necessarily a accessory that I'll want to have so desperately. Yeah, you can see people watching me as we go and drive underneath them. They're, of course, doing the same in the Marina Hotel, which we went under a moment ago. Alright, final lap of the race. Last time into the hairpin. Alright. Time for the double straights. Super early braking! Yeah, sometimes I wonder if that's a little too early. 'Cause, yeah, I did mention and point out that braking points in this game can also come really late, too. So much so that you go either too deep into the turn or you just fly right off the track. Last time to pass under the hotel. Which, in case you're wondering, you did see it light up at night, and we probably will again when I do the other race that I'm going to show off. But it's intended to be shaped like a giant humpback whale. And yeah, we're going so fast, we're on the verge of putting a car a lap down. That's how dominant we were with the car we had. Now, I wonder if I'm nice enough to let him by. Yeah, there it is. There he goes. Yeah, you finished the race, sir. There we go. Yeah, obviously with the bumping that I did, I was not going to get the clean round. Alright, so, yeah, a 10-lap race at with 800 PP performance points, or the big 950 15-lapper, but we'll save that. I'll save that for off-camera. Or if you guys are really into this, if you're enjoying what you're watching, me, pure casual, trying to complete as much of this game as I can and try and find some way to get better, like, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you do want me to do more of this, please let me know. Post in the comments, let me know if you're enjoying what you're seeing. Certainly would greatly appreciate it. Alright, so for this, I'm going to change cars, because I do need to be under 800 performance points. The closest thing I have is this Subaru, known as the BRZ. It is one of the better cars for this sort of thing. But I also know that there are some others, if I'm so inclined. Yeah, I might also go with the Supra, actually. I might use the Toyota Supra here. But it's on mediums, though, so no, I'll stick with the Subaru. Alright, let's go for 10 laps around Abu Dhabi. So in a race like this, I will need to pit at least once. And I will turn my fuel usage to down. But it does seem like I might not need to. And in fact, I'll just put it right back at full usage because it seems like fuel will not be an issue. So now I have to get used to driving with this car around here. And they did change the lighting again. So I imagine the sun will set throughout the race, as it's doing right now, as it does in the Formula 1 finale. Yeah, we will have to make up a lot of ground. Too deep. Yeah, that's just all part of the adjustment. Now I'm going to make up 35 seconds over 10 laps. Some of the cars, however, will be pushing harder because they will be using softer tires. Can I get in? Yep. So yeah, it seems like the only thing I'll really need to worry about is changing tires once. Careful not to skid out there, though. Here we go. See if we can get on the inside. But we're a little too far out. Alright, let's get behind these guys to try and draft them. Yeah, similar to NASCAR, these cars also do benefit from you drafting them. Try and find the right time to brake as we go through the chicane. Alright, off we go. And we are starting to pull the Delta back. Ah! Oh, what the? Okay. That was completely random. We'll try this again. Yeah, if I'm gonna get spun out, I might as well start over. Yeah, we'll back off on using a little fuel at the start. Away we go. So I can give myself just enough fuel to get to the end without needing more. Go. So yeah, now we have the 11 laps. So that'll ensure that I have enough fuel without needing to pit for fuel. I can just go for tires. Ah! Careful, sir. Yeah, you're one of the few cars not being driven by an esports driver. Alright. Go. And try not to lose control. Try to make use of the inside curve as much as I can. I'll back off until an opportunity presents itself. Alright, past these two. Too deep, too deep. Actually, just enough. And let's go. Too deep, too deep. But we're good. We're good. Yeah, those braking points, man. To the final section. Right. That was pretty good at handling of that corner. I'm actually lapping 2 seconds a lap faster. We're gonna need to gain more time than that though. Yeah, trying to make the move on the outside. Thankfully, I did not get impaled this time around. You know, the tire wear is not as bad as I thought it would be. I might be able to do this whole thing on without needing to change my tires or refuel. But we won't know that for sure until we've driven 10 laps. Yeah, look how much of the inside I'm taking. Just got past them. And now the hotel is lit up. And we're closing in on the top 10. Yeah, the tire wear is a lot less than I was expecting. Past him. through the hairpin. And out of the double back straights. Yeah, like I said, if you want to see me play more of this and other types of similar games, like, let me know. Hit the like button. Post in the comments if you're watching this after the facts. Let me know if you are indeed Canadian. If this day makes you proud as well. We have a lot of reasons to be proud today for the inclusion of our second Canadian circuit into Gran Turismo 7 after Lake Louise's snow track was introduced in Spec 2. Yeah, now I'm literally too much inside. That's weird how that turn plays out. Too deep, too deep. Yeah, I'm 4 laps in and not even halfway through the tires being completely worn out. Yeah, I did lose quite a bit of time there. And I still have to get through other cars. Ugh, crap. That was not what I intended to do. Too deep, maybe. Nope, maybe not. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that was better. That was better than I expected. Yeah, we'll use the straightaways to our advantage. But we still got a lot of ground to cover. Don't lose control coming out of the turn. Too deep, too deep. Oh, maybe not. Ooh. That's a drag race down the start-finish line. Yeah, if I do this right, I will not need to pit at all. I don't need to refuel. The tires are holding out better than I expected. Then again, we might see a situation where no one needs to pit. Yeah, you really can't see them gaining their delta back in the turns while I'm gaining it back on the straights. Alright, go. Coming up on within 10 seconds, but we still have about just 4 laps left after this one. Catching up on the top 5. Oh, this guy's just gonna let us pass. Don't mind if I do, thanks. Well, now we are starting to see cars pitting because they chose to go on the softer tire. The delta's still 8 seconds. For those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about when I say delta, that's basically what they refer to as the interval between me and the leader. Yeah, delta has become the more popularized term to describe the distance and time between two drivers. Yeah, I think that started happening like within the last couple of years when they started to change the term from interval to delta. And down to 2 cars left. The leader's still well ahead. We don't know if they need to pit or not. Yeah, I can't just coast and glide through the turns like I used to when my tires were fresher and not so worn. The leader is in my sights. I need to push here in order to get ahead of him. Yeah, I doubt he'll need to pit. Some had to because they went with the softer tire, but I imagine this guy's not on the same type of tire because, yeah, even though I didn't have the brake on, I'm getting pushed out hard to the other side of the track. And within 3 seconds now. And I am gaining faster than I expected I would, honestly. I really don't want to bump this guy off. Track him down. And on lap 8, we'll take the lead. Alright, here we go. Now we gotta hold on to it for a little more than 2 more laps. Through the final turn, back onto the main straight. And yeah, he's still breathing down our necks here. Or breathing down my neck. Yeah, it's not you who's racing together with me, it's just me, myself, and I. Right, here we go. Too deep, too deep. Right, there we go. Yeah, here's where I can distance myself, is on the double straightaway. And going in. Alright, good, go. Oh wow, I've opened it up to 4.5. Wow. I did not expect that. Yeah, no need to worry about fuel, no need to worry about the tires, just keep pushing. Well. Yeah, that's the tires getting worn down. But they'll last to the end of the race. Here we go. Last lap. Too much. Yeah, getting a little too confident even with my really worn tires. But, like, hey, props to them for not putting me in a situation where I had to make a tire change or have to add more fuel. I never had to come to that. You don't see that often in the races that have proper race cars instead of just production vehicles. Because what you'll usually have to do is you'll have to make at least one pit stop. You have to make at least one pit stop, change your tires, get more fuel. But this is one of those rare instances where that's not true. In fact, honestly, nothing else comes to mind in terms of having the conditions like this, where you are burning through fuel and you are having your tires wear down as the race continues, but you don't have to go to the pits. And quite honestly, I'm glad that this will be the last race I'm doing tonight because my hands and wrists are starting to cramp up and feel sore. So yeah, it is for the best that I end things after I get done in here. Alright, final turn, here we go. Let's take the win. Yeah, there we go. We got it. With my proudly Canadian vehicle, adorned with all sorts of Canadian companies and ads and banners and that sort of thing. And so the next day I take the confetti and everything that comes with it. And I'm back over 8 million. Still got a long way to go though if I want to start getting any more of the vehicles that I need for the menus. Alright, so to close the night out, we're gonna go back to Montreal, but we're not gonna race because we're gonna go to the Scapes. And let's find a good spot to be able to call it a night here. And we will go ahead and use the vehicle we just used. Yeah, might not necessarily need the lights on. And why don't I put myself in the fray as well? Yeah, there I am. In my proudly Canadian race suit and my proudly Canadian race car. And yeah, all sorts of various poses I can use. I can have my arms crossed, hands on hips, kind of behind back, fist pump with the other hand. Yeah, some I have to distance myself away from the car in order to get myself to be doing what I'm doing. I can wave to everyone. I can turn my head away. I can salute. I can calmly put my hands in front of me. I can cock my wrist or whatever. Give a thumbs up. Yeah, give a fancy pose. More fist pumping. Yeah, get really excited. Or just be calm and relaxed. Yeah, all sorts of things you can do here. One thing I wish I can do, though, is have the car face a certain way. So we'll go ahead and take the shot. And there we go. There's one awesome picture. Let's see if I can... Oh, I was going to say roll direction, but yeah, I've got limited room to do that. Maybe if I change the scene... Yeah, maybe like this side over here. Yeah, that's as far as I can go, I guess. Yeah, it's a shame, because what I would really like to do is put it right on the start-finish line. Because that's where I would want to have it. Yeah, I'm not afraid to proudly display my Canadian pride. You know, what kind of effects can we do? Yeah, I'm not the most professional picture taker, but oh, enlarge as in do that. Okay. Alright, let's take another shot. Yeah, I'm very satisfied with that. So, I think it is the perfect way to end this night and end this little special stream that you and I have shared together. Thanks to everyone who came out tonight. It was great to see so many new people come out and watch my stream for something completely different. But on this December the 4th, 2025, we Canadians had very good reason to be happy with what we got here in this particular game. Being able to drive down the very circuit that hosts the Formula 1 Canadian Grand Prix and sharing that with all of you, and also checking out the other new circuit in Abu Dhabi. It was certainly a happy day to be a Canadian. And this is certainly proof of that. So I will look forward to seeing you guys back on the business as usual content when I join you guys again on Saturday, when I go back to playing what I usually have been playing for the last month or so, which is the Tales of Xillia RPG. But like I said, if you do want to see me play more Gran Turismo, please leave a like, please hit the subscribe button. Let me know if you're out there. If you're watching from Canada, please let me know if this is something that you are very happy to see. And I will look forward to seeing you guys back here on Saturday night as we try and get closer to finishing Tales of Xillia. And to everyone who's out there in Canada, thank you for making this dream a reality for all of us who are race car fans and who love playing Gran Turismo, and for those of us who can truly proudly display our Canadian pride. This was a beautiful and wonderful day for all of us. So, with that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching this special Gran Turismo 7 Spec 3 launch stream, and I'll see you guys back here on Saturday. So, thank you everyone for watching, And I will see you all back here on Saturday.